Hello and welcome back to Competitions at the Range St. Louis West. I'm your host Jason, match director, and this is your June 2025 IDPA SO walkthrough. We have a 4-stage match. We're using both bays. This is all for preparation for the 2025 Illinois State IDPA Championship, and so you'll probably notice a theme in the stage descriptions. That said, let's start right in with stage 1. Illinois Nahtzees. Scenario: you interrupted an Illinois Nazi party march, and now they've marched you for death. Defend yourself. Start position: standing at SP, with pistol loaded to vision capacity and holstered, wrists above shoulder in surrender position. For PCC, shouldered at low ready, muzzle pointing at the base of T1, with support hand outstretched and covering both eyes. Just trying to even it up for the PCC folks, right? Procedure: at the audible start, engage T1, T2, and T7. That's the three that you see right here. In the open, and remaining targets from cover when cover is available. Scoring is unlimited. It's an 18-round count stage. There are 9 targets with 3 non-threats, distances of 7 to 20 yards. We're scoring the best 2 on paper. Concealment is required. We go from the audible signal to start, and we stop at the last shot. Muzzle safe zones the floating 180. Quick notes: there are 3 levels of priority from the start position: T1, T2, and T7. They should be fairly obvious from here, but just to be clear, there are 3 separate levels of priority near to far. Later in the stage, and I'll point this out when we get there, but T4 is a surprise target engaged in the open. To assist, there is a courtesy line for SOs to observe the point at which competitors are exposed to T4. For those of you up on the rules, you know that's where a firearm has to be loaded, magazine, seated, round in chamber to avoid a procedural for exposing yourself to this, to the surprise target in the open. Okay, from the start position, you have 3 targets available in the open. From there, we move over to position 1. You can see that courtesy line off to the left. P1 is a fault line with 3 targets available. Okay. From P1, move out into the open. T4, this target right here, is the only unengaged target available in the open at this point. So there's your target in the open. From there, you move on to P2. Here you have 2 targets available from cover. Again, fault line on the ground, tactical priority, slice the pie accordingly. That's stage 1. So for stage 2 is called "What Are You Doing, Dave?" Scenario: you've been sent back in time to 1992 and transported to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign to prevent HAL 9000 from becoming operational and compromising a 2001 space mission. Security is using lethal force to stop you, but you must not fail. Start position: standing at SP, pistol loaded with 6 rounds and holstered, hands relaxed at sides with wrists below belt. Carbine, loaded with 6 rounds, shouldered at low ready, with muzzle pointing at the base of NT1, the non-threat to your direct front. Support hand is outstretched and covering the mouth to prevent lip reading. Procedure: at the audible start, engage T2 and T3 in the open. That, just to be clear, are these 2 targets. Those are in the open. You are exposed to them. And then, remaining targets from cover. It's unlimited scoring. It's an 18-round count stage. There are 6 targets, 2 non-threats. We're scoring the best 3 on paper, and concealment is required. Start at the audible signal, finish with the last shot fired. Muzzle safe zone is the floating 180. Again, quick notes: T2 and T3, the 2 targets you're exposed to at the start, are equal priority. Furthermore, should you advance to cover at P2, P2 does not provide cover to T2 and T3. It means you're still in the open to those 2 targets. P2 only provides cover to T1 and T6 behind these walls here. Okay, so let's walk through the positions really quick. There's only 2 other than the start position, but we move over to P1. You have 2 targets available, T4 and T6. And then P2, and again, you can do this in any order, but from P2 you have T1 and T6 available. Again, we're scoring the best 3 on paper. All right, let's move on to S3, or Stage 3. Stage 3 is going to occur in Bay 2. It is entitled 1961 Ferrari 250 GT California Spyder. Scenario: you are on your way to Chicago to make an offer on a beautifully restored classic Ferrari when you are waylaid by a combination of sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, and dickheads. Save yourself and get your car despite the curiously high mileage. Start position: standing at SP, pistol loaded to division capacity and holstered, hands relaxed at side with wrists below beltline. Carbine: also standing at SP, carbine loaded to division capacity with stock on belt and muzzle pointing downrange. Nothing fancy for this PCC start. At the audible signal, engage all targets from cover when cover is available. Scoring is unlimited. Let's get to that start position really quick so you can see what we're talking about here. Scoring is unlimited. The round count is 18. Distances of 2 to 10 yards. We're scoring the best 2 on paper. Concealment's required. Again, starting with audible signal, finishing with the last shot fired. The muzzle safe zone is the floating 180. A couple of quick notes. T1 and T3 are surprise targets engaged in the open and equal priority. I'll show those to you shortly. Likewise, targets T7 through T9 are also surprise targets. So T7, T8, T9 are surprise targets engaged in the open and also equal priority with each other. There's a courtesy line in between P2 and P3 for SOs to observe the point at which competitors become exposed to that array of 3 targets, specifically T8. And lastly, competitors may not advance forward from P1 on the left or to the right of NT1. So let's go through this and explain that. So P1 is directly to the left of the start position. There are 2 targets available from this position. And again, competitors may not advance forward to the left of this position. To proceed through the stage, they must move to the right. And that would be this direction, obviously. Now you can see a vision barrier stack. As you cross that, you're exposed to T1 and T3. We don't have a courtesy line back there for SOs. It's basically the end of the wall. That means firearms have to be loaded, magazine seated, round in chamber to avoid a procedural as you become exposed to T1 and T3. Quick note: T6 is available from this perspective anyway. But just to point out the fact that it is behind, for this stage, it is behind P2. So you are not, even though it's available, you are not exposed to that target. That becomes important for some, but specifically to reloads. Okay, so you may also not progress forward of NT1, non-threat 1, to the right of this wall through this stage, right? Just don't have enough equipment to put barriers everywhere I want them, but to go forward from this position or continue through the stage from this position, you must advance to P2. Again, there's T6. That's the target that is available from this position. It's the only target available from this position. It is a cover position. From here, you go out into the open past that vision barrier, and you're exposed to T7, T8, and T9. These are, again, equal priority. Once you've engaged these, you may move on to P3, the final position where there's 1 target available. Again, we're scoring the best 2 on paper, just to reiterate, but this is, there's available makeup shots here. And in fact, there's probably a lot of available makeup shots here as well. We'll try to put these in the right position so that there's no danger of a pass-through on the wall. But that said, it is the shooter's responsibility to make sure they're not taking a dangerous shot. All right, that was stage 3. Let's go on to stage 4. This was a fun one. All right, stage 4, Ballroom Blitz. Scenario: the regional programming director for Oliver Communications has hatched an evil and violent plan to prevent Mr. Big from signing crucial taunt to a record deal. Stop him at all costs. Start position: standing at SP. We're at the SP for stage 4. Firearm loaded to division capacity and holstered. Head down facing floor and both hands frozen in the air, performing an air guitar solo. Excellent. Carbine:
Standing at SP with carbine loaded to division capacity, stock on belt, muzzle pointing down range, support side foot lifted off floor in what we call the Angus Young start. All right, just there's a pictorial of how the PCC start is for the stage. Angus Young start. Okay, at the audible start signal, engage T1, T3, and T6. Now, T6 is considered in the open for this stage. There's no fault line in the diagram, although it will likely still be there on the floor. But for the purposes of this stage, you are exposed to 3 targets at the start in the open in 2 levels of priority. T1 and T3 are equal priority, and then at the lower priority or further back on the stage is T6 off to the left. Okay. Even though it appears to be behind cover, just a reminder, this is in the open. Competitors may not advance from this position forward. The only way to move forward in stage 4 is to the left, right? So after these 3 targets have been addressed, move over to the left to position 1. Again, you'll recognize these 2 targets. From P1, you advance forward to P2. Now, the targets that were previously in the open in stage 3, T7, T8, T9, are engaged from cover here, and there is a cover line on the floor. Slice the pie accordingly. All right, from P2, you can advance forward to P3, where you pick up your final target of the stage. Again, 9 targets, all engaged, 2 rounds each. Total 18 rounds fired. Okay, that's pretty much it. There, time allowed, we may do a bill drill or another standards drill stage at the end, maybe a fast drill. But we got to get through the 14 stages, or the 4 stages, all 18 round count stages ahead of time. That's it for your SO walkthrough and setup walkthrough. Essentially, like, there's a couple things to keep an eye on for setup, and I think, you know, when we do, for example, when we go from S1 to S2, you may have just seen that a little bit, but we cover up the other targets that are not part of the stage with black trash bags simulating hard cover. On bay 2, the only really change that we make, you see between the stages, oops, sorry, that's something I wanted to do, is the fault lines. Which fault lines we're paying attention? Likely they'll all be on the ground, right? So we're gonna have to, when we do the walkthrough for those stages with shooters, make sure you point out which direction they must go and which fault lines they must pay attention to. I know it can be confusing sometimes, but in order to get as many stages as we can through one bay, until I come up with a better system for fault lines than just taping the floor, it's the best we can do. If you have any questions, ask me in person, find me online, shoot me an email at matches@therangestl.com or info@gatewayidpa.com. Either one gets to me, and I'll be happy to address them. The PDFs will be up on Practice Score shortly, and I'll send the setup documentation to the setup crew, again, also fairly soon. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. Stay safe, shoot straight, and I'll see you at the range.